Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. You all could have been just about any place else in the world, and yet you decided to be here, which I really do appreciate it. Oh, that's so interesting. I wonder what. Okay. What did I have as a background? Was it this one? Oh, no matter. I wonder if they gave us some more background space. Well, if they did, I'm glad to know that because let me see, that's the dark blue, and there's the waves. I kind of like the waves, but let me see if I can find one of my fun new backgrounds. Okay. One of my fun new backgrounds. Let me see here. Oh, that don't work from here. Never mind. Well, I can do that one. There we go. There, I could do that one. Ha! I like it. Connie Balmer! Hey, Connie Balmer. Vivian G. There we go. Connie Balmer. Lydia Washington. Okay, and who else is here? Sonia Johnson. Anyway, and a host of friends and others. Let me go ahead and get my slides up here, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, take that away. Lovely, lovely. Hello, Marilyn King, Amosha Cumberbatch, and who else? Blue Draws, Raffaella Bertoni, Mimi Ricks, and Ingrid Soares, Vanessa Jones, uh, Milky Way. All right. Paula Girl, Big Mama's in the house. Hey, Big Mama. Hey, Joan. All right, lovely. Let's get into it, shall we? So, in case you haven't heard by now, there was a letter written by the Duchess of Sussex, also known as Princess Meghan. Now she is a princess in her own right. Um, Also, somebody is mouthing off about Kate Middleton trolls again. Who would troll Kate Middleton, especially at such a sensitive time? I just find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe. It is patently unfair. That's what it is. It is patently unfair that anyone would carry on in such a manner. And if I ever hear of it, I am going to make sure that somebody is properly dealt with. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not having it. Oh my goodness, what in the AI is going on here? Ah, okay. I'm looking at one of these Twitter accounts. Tell you what, though, I won't be able to share them with you right now, but I will share them with you. Am I following this person? Yes, I am. Oh, they got some good stuff. This is juicy. I love it. Lots of shade and everything. Oh my goodness. Where has this person been all my life? I love it. Oh, that is beautiful. Okay. Definitely will save that one. Don't worry, you all. I am going to share it with you all probably tomorrow. But the good news is I have it. So let's get on with it, shall we? Oh, by the way, happy Sunday to you, or Saturday night for just a few of you. Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I had the microphone pushed over my shoulder. Thank you. I'm so glad you said something. Blue Draws, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for being here. And Lydia Washington says, Baron, your mic is sounds far away. Yes, it was about maybe 3 feet away from my head. So, which shouldn't be a problem because I don't know if you know this, but I got such a big head. Um, I got such a big head. It seems like it wouldn't have mattered, but even for me, it was too far outside of the orbit. So thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for the super chat. Let me see. We can hear you loud and clear. Meaning what? That most times I'm just too loud, too close for comfort. I understand what you're saying. I think I get that. But thank you so much. All right. So let's get on with it, shall we? So there are the three kings that we originally encountered while the Sussexes were on their tour in Nigeria. But there was a fourth king we found out. He was the one that was kind of emceeing the event. Um, the one with the beautiful wife, and there's so many beautiful. If he would have said beautiful one more time, I'm telling you, he said beautiful more than Tony Bennett. Now, well, actually, I've never heard Tony Bennett do that. I've seen Alec Baldwin doing his impersonation of Tony Bennett. Beautiful, lots of beautiful girls, just so beautiful. Well, that's how he was. It was kind of funny. Uh, you could, and I have to say, his wife was quite beautiful. Is quite beautiful. So he did not make up anything. But yeah, he was just like I thought he was about to go into a lounge act with all of the beautiful, so beautiful, lots of beautiful girls. Oh Lord, where is that coming from? Oh Lord. Okay, I don't know if y'all could hear that, but I have a video going somewhere. Oh, I think that's where it came from. All right. I got it stopped now. That's good. I think when it's coming directly out of the computer, you can't hear it. So when I play those sound bites, I'm actually playing it from a Bluetooth speaker, right? That gives you a better quality sound. And anyway, I won't bore you with the details. Let's get on with it, shall we? I don't want to bore you with my troubles. There's something about your love that makes me weak and knocks me off my feet. There's something about your love. Okay, got that out my system. All right, so there are the kings. And of course, that was when Meghan received those beautiful titles from some of the oldest surviving kingdoms, monarchies on the face of the earth. And that is, of course, the beautiful letter. Now, I have to show you this, though. It actually says personal correspondence up there at the top, but it is in the public sphere now. So nothing we can do about it because it is everywhere. So it says, Your Imperial Majesty, thank you for your warm welcome to Nigeria. Tam, deeply humbled. Oh, I'm sorry. I am. That's a little typo. You know what? I know what I did here. I did okay, never mind. But that's a typo. I am deeply humbled by your blessing of the traditional Yoruba, yeah, Yoruba name, Adetokunbo, um, Tukumbo. I treasure the name and appreciate your trust in me to carry it with grace and dignity. Our visit to Nigeria was important for many reasons, but not least because it gave us an opportunity to explore and understand my heritage, which extends to our children. We look forward to coming back home one day soon. Meg. And there you can see it signed Meg, but of course, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And at the very bottom, it says His Imperial Majesty Abu Abdul Rashid Adewale Akambi. So, again, it is supposed to be a personal letter, but it seems to be everywhere. So I don't feel bad sharing it with you at this point. But of course, once you give that letter to the recipient, it is theirs to do with what they will, so long as nobody's making money from it, which of course they're not. But I'm just explaining the very difference between that and, of course, the very famous Thomas Markle letter. Yes, you can share it, but you're not allowed to make money from it, which is why Meghan was able to go after the Daily Fail. So, yeah, that's the difference. That's all. Don't have anything else to add to that. So, okay. Uh, Hello, Lola Love, Myra V. All right, moving on. But yeah, that was very, very professional. And there you can see a photo of Meghan, Your Imperial Majesty. I love that. I love that. You know, it is so humble to have expressed it like that, even though Meghan is a member of the very famous British royal family, that she would be so humble and thoughtful to refer to him as Your Imperial Majesty. That is class. That is truly, truly class. And I love that in her. Um, okay. So I just did a quick correction there. So I am going to take this one away and bring up the corrected one. It only took a second to do it. So I thought to myself, self, why not? Why not? Just in case I have to go back to it again. So there we go. And see there? I am deeply humbled by your blessing of the traditional Yoruba name. So I fixed it in a flash. All right. Lovely. Let's keep it moving. And there, Duchess Meghan met with Thrive coach and digital creator Adiola Akande in Lagos. Beautiful moment with the Duchess. Truly a delight to have met her and Prince Harry. So these are just a few photos that we did not. You all, I know this is not a surprise, so I won't insult your intelligence by saying this, but there is like a ton of stuff from the Sussex's trip to Nigeria that we still haven't seen. And slowly, it has definitely been pouring in. And even though most of the big media conglomerates were excluded from this trip, there is no lacking photos of these moments. Now, I heard Celebici, one of the ladies from Celebici, she expressed how frustrating it was that there was no major networks or newspapers or anything carrying these photos, especially when Meghan was presented with those titles. However, I would say on balance, we have been feasting from that trip in terms of the photos. We have been feasting, not just photos, but videos. I mean, it has been a smorgasbord. It has been a banquet of images and information. And still, there's probably a lot more that we're going to see in the coming week. and I'm here for it. And as I find it, I will share it with you. So that is the same lady right there. And of course, there she is standing in front of that banner for Invictus Games fundraiser for our wounded warriors. Yeah, I think that's what it says back there. Um, just absolute, and I love that dress she has on. That is amazing. Some of the patterns and such, I am just blown away by it. I really am. They put their best foot forward, and that is beautiful. That is very beautiful. And then right here, Duke and Duchess of Sussex pictured chatting with Chief uh, Miss Sade Akuya, the Bawaji of Lagos. She is the wife of billionaire industrialist Chief Rashik Rasak Akoya Ari of Lagos. Uh, and boy, is she beautiful. This is the first I've seen this one. And obviously, that is at the Polo. I believe that's at the Polo based on Meghan's outfit. And again, this is another one that I have yet to see. And thanks to the people on the Twitter and the Instagram, there's been stuff pouring in. Who knows how much I missed, but I am enjoying it. I am truly enjoying it. And of course, let me see, make this bigger so I could actually see it. There we go. So this was an article in Western Post. Aluwo appreciates hospitality, royal reception by Deborah Alada and Asagbo. Okay. The wife of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, has written the paramount ruler of Awalan, Abba Abdul Rashid Adwali Akambi for his hospitality and warm reception during their 3-day working visit to Nigeria last month. I'm glad someone said that. It was a working visit, it wasn't just a vacation. The correspondence, according to the statement by the press secretary to the monarch, Ali Ibrahim, further acknowledged the Yoruba name Ada Adetokunbo, given to her by His Majesty during their sojourn in Nigeria. It would be recalled that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle visited Nigeria last month, and Alawo was invited as the only Yoruba Oba to give him a royal reception at Delborough Hotel, Ikoyi, Lagos. Therein, Abu Akambi bestowed on her the Yoruba name as well as presented gifts of Ofi to royal bead and royal beads rather and royal beads. So that was in an article. And what is the date on this one? I mean, I believe this article was from today, and a lot of the media in Nigeria, it seems to me, I don't know, I'm just an outside observer, but it seems to me like they are still very excited to talk about the visit. And I'm glad for that. I am very glad for that. Okay. Let me continue here. All right. So let me take a look at a couple of your comments before I go on to Kate Middleton and the trolling that she's receiving. Oh, life is so unfair. I can't believe this, that she is being trolled. Who would do such a thing? How rude. Don't they know what she allegedly has been through? Uh, I know those names are really throwing me for a loop. Okay. I have to point out that Nigeria is showing up the British royal family on how true royalty is welcomed. I'm so proud. Absolutely. I am very proud as well. I am. I'm so, so proud. I feel like I'm still beaming from the event. Okay. All right. I think we're good with comments. Yes. All right. So let's move on. So, we're private hospital staff who tried to pry on Kate Middleton's file caught in a decoy trap sting by health chiefs. Uh, Staff at the prestigious hospital at the center of the data breach over Princess of Wales' private medical records may have had to contend with a decoy trap set by managers, experts believe. Um, Maybe. Who knows? The let me see. Manager. Wait. What is MOS? The whatever can reveal. Oh, the Mail on Sunday. Sorry. The Mail on Sunday can reveal that 3 months ago, the London clinic remains under investigation, and the case has not yet been referred to Scotland Yard, despite Health Minister Maria Caulfield stating in March that police had been asked to look into it. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me after all that fuss they made, saying that whoever was trying to pry into her records was likely trying to derail the stability of the British government? Do you mean to tell me after all of that and you have not involved the Met Police? Seriously? You haven't had Scotland Yard look into it after all of that huffing and puffing? Bosses at the hospital launched a probe after it was claimed at least one staff member had attempted to access personal details about Kate following her planned abdominal surgery in January. Well, I tell you what, if nothing else, they're consistent. They still say it was planned. They just won't tell us what happened on the 28th of December. They're all about what happened in January, but we don't hear a whisper about what happened in December. Okay. So, right here it says it is a criminal offense for any NHS or private healthcare staff to access the medical records of a patient without the consent of the organization's data controller. Now, several data specialists have told this newspaper that if the breach occurred, staff could have been caught through a decoy tactic used by private hospitals that often have high profile clients. Okay. I mean, that sounds logical, but what of it? Because if you have not referred this to Scotland Yard to date, how serious could it have been? I mean, they're saying that they tried to look at her medical records. Is this, let me see, how do I put this without sounding rude? There have been people that have speculated that Kate has never even been to that hospital. We're not sure that Kate was ever at that hospital. We did not see her arrive. We did not see her leave. William was never seen walking through the door, only driving in that direction. Her mother never came to the hospital. Her brother, the dog food purveyor, he never actually visited the hospital. And of course, his sister Pippa was running that little flat bum of hers back and forth on the beach at what on Mystique Island, whatever it is. So we're not even sure. There were no flowers taken to or from the hospital that we're aware of. All we know is that her private secretary was seen driving away with a bunch of twigs on the front seat that were supposed to be passed off as flowers. It looked like somebody gathered some driftwood and stuck it in a vase and put it in the front seat and just drove off with it. So, how are we supposed to know? I just am not sure that Kate was ever in the hospital. I don't have any evidence of it. I know what they say, but because they have lied using those photos, because of the you know, deception with the photos, I just don't know if I can trust these people. Where is Kate Middleton? I am so afraid for her. I just cannot rest. I cannot rest until we know where she is. I just can't. I can't. I just can't rest until I knew where the whereabouts of one Kate Elizabeth something something Middleton. Kate, sister of the dog food dealer Middleton. Right. That's when I can relax. Meanwhile, I am going to be ever vigilant. I am going to be ever vigilant until we find out what has happened to Kate Middleton. So, Brendan O'Neill, barbaric and inhumane. This internet trolling of Kate betrays a moral rot um, society that must be rooted out. Yeah, moral rot in society that must be rooted out. Hey, I've been called a lot of things, but I have. Oh, wait a minute. They're not talking about me. I have not been trolling. If anything, I have been trying to find Kate. As a matter of fact, am I not the one person who has been talking about this consistently ever since I would say at least February? Now, at some point, it is important that you know what we got to do, don't you? What do we have to do at this point, you guys? We got to reach out to Kensington
Well,
Palace.
obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, on to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
What you do, girl? What you do? You do what? What you do, girl? And of course, one of the reasons why I don't worry about her is that I am perfectly secure with the idea that William has been extending so much love and compassion for her, or was it contempt? Love and contempt. No, no, no. It's compassion. That William has been, is it contempt or compassion? Okay, it's compassion. William has been extending so much compassion toward her that I know she's in good hands, right? All right. MR, thank you so much for the coffee. You know what? I messed up the Buy Me a Coffee app. I got to straighten that thing out somehow. I messed it up where it hasn't been working. But thank you so much for extending over to the Cash App. I really, really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here tonight. I didn't know if I could say your name or not, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Okay. So yeah, she's in contemptible, compassionate hands with Williams. So I know she's okay. And least of all, one thing you can be sure of, nobody's making fun of her. Nobody's making fun of her over here, right? We have been on her side since the very beginning. So it says right here, for a start, it shines as harsh light on a scale of internet addiction that's dragging us ever further into a vortex of antisocial and immoral behavior. Really? I mean, I try to flush every time. Anyway, if we witness such appalling behavior in a pub, for example, we'd react to stop it. Why then do we tolerate such bullying on the net, the internet, of course? It benefits no one to pretend that vile trolls are just a modern version of barroom bores. Trolling is not an extension of the human experience, it's a rejection of it. The internet coaxes us away from institutions and social connections, which for millennia have helped to keep us sane and good. Now, wait just one cotton picking minute. Who are you talking to? Wait, who wrote this? Brendan O'Neill. Wait just one cotton picking minute. Who are you talking to? Certainly not me. I have been the very moral compass of the coverage of the royal family. I have been nothing but just and fair, and of course, on occasion, when necessary, I will drag a couple of them. But on balance, unbalanced, I think I have been very fair and just, especially to Kate Middleton, Kate Middleton. I have been very fair, and Dolly the trolley the trolley Dolly, what's her name? Carol Middleton. I have been very fair to BA's finest um, beverage slinging, social climbing mama. I have been very fair to her too. So I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, I know he ain't talking to me. I know darn well he ain't talking to me. But I tell you what, Brendan, if I find out somebody's been, you know, being inappropriate, I will be the last. Excuse me. I will be the first person to say something. You know what I mean. I'd be the first person to say something. I will not let anybody go unnoticed. So if I do hear somebody slandering Kate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the video and then I'm going to share it on all of my social media platforms. And then in a couple of days, I will respond to it. That's what I'm going to do. Especially the real negative stuff. I'm going to share it on all of my social media platforms. And then I'm going to come back and verbally admonish the culprit. How's that? Only when I'm sure everyone has seen it, then I will come back and I will, ooh, I'm telling you, I am going to be very stern. I'm going to wag my finger. That's what I'm going to do. So, um, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Have you all? I haven't heard nobody dragging Kate. Have y'all? I ain't heard nothing. Wait, wasn't me. Wasn't me. Big Mama says, so what is it they are doing to Meghan? So trolling is bad only if Kate is that what he's yeah, of course. You see, as I always say, Big Mama, the rules change when it's somebody black involved. There's something about that African blood. They just feel like you can just take it. But the English rose, well, not that English rose, but this English rose. Everybody has to move heaven and earth. They have to cease doing their task of the day so that they could all gather around and lay hands and pray and support for Kate, even though she is one of the most protected individuals on the face of the earth. Even though Kate lives a life second to none, it's a charmed existence. She don't have to pay no bills. She didn't have to wait in line to see a doctor. None of that stuff. When whatever happened on the 28th of December or the 17th of January or somewhere in between, whatever happened, she didn't have to wait. She was able to go to the head of the line because she is the Princess of Wales, and her existence is far more important than anybody else in the United Kingdom. So I guess that's fair. Anyway, so right here, it goes on to say, and do you guys remember this article, the one on the right side there? That one that cries out, "For God's sakes, just leave Kate alone. Leave Kate alone. Leave her alone." But say or do whatever you want with Meghan because, well, after all, she's no longer a working royal. But then, of course, one would say, wait a minute now. They were doing this even worse when she was over there and she had no way of responding. Oh, yeah, but, that has been handled. No, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, the same culprits, and in some cases, the same people that targeted Princess Diana, now they are going after Harry and Meghan. So it says family, friends for real, socializing, and all of. Oh, wait, does that continue from the other part there? Let me see. Oh, no, it doesn't. Family, friends, real life socializing, and all the other habits of togetherness developed over centuries. These things kept us grounded. Now, with just a flickering screen for company, people are left to their own lonely devices in a virtual world of nonstop nonsense. The princess treatment exposes the threat exposed, the threat posed by internet culture to civilization itself. Wow, they're doing a lot of thought provoking and self reflection when it comes to protecting Kate. Where was all of this reasonable reason? Where was all of this when Meghan was being verbally attacked day after day? Where was all of this when they wrote 50 articles from one newspaper about nothing in particular about Meghan in one day? Where was all of this? Perhaps millions, by the power of their fingers alone, they can blah, dis, decimate their bitter drivel. I'm sorry, disseminate their bitter drivel um, to the world. Bitter? Did somebody say bitter? Because when it comes to being bitter, I think that is the tabloids and the royal family and their henchmen that are the ones that are bitter.
Bitter. And somebody needs to say it. Bitter. Bitter, bitter, bitter.
Anyway, and yet these broadcasters are free of. Wait a minute. Wait. These broadcasters are free of rules and etiquette that govern books, television, and newspapers. The Kate haters can say whatever they want, whenever they want, with no consequences, and all under the cloak of anonymity. Well, is that any worse than those who are able to say whatever they want, anytime they want, about Rachel, Meghan Markle without any fear of being punished, losing their jobs, or canceled? Because it appears to me that those unhinged people that's on Talk TV, Good Morning Britain, GB News, and of course, in all of the newspapers, Victoria Arbiter, who else? Dickie Arbiter, Arthur Edwards, Richard Kay, Richard Palmer, Richard Eden. What about Robert Jobson, grunting and gasping the whole time? Jeremy Clarkson. Who else? Who else? Oh, Pierce the Hoghead Morgan. What about all those people? They say whatever they want without any fear of repercussions. They just say whatever they want. They hire Sharon Osbourne to attack the Sussexes. They hire Angela Levin to attack the Sussexes. They, from time to time, they bring what's his name back, Lady C. They have they on television to attack the Sussexes. As a society, we urgently need to tackle this evil. I'm convinced that if everyone had to prove who they are before they could post on social media, trolling would evaporate overnight. You think so? It's not too hard. Didn't the Daily Mail just hunt down someone, that kid that, what's her name? Rebecca English. She was so glad to say that the investigative unit of the Daily Mail had identified someone who was asking, where is Kate Middleton? Although she wouldn't sign on to having written the article. No one at the Daily Mail will say that they have written that article which exposed this person's neighborhood, his actual residence. They even exposed his name and his birthday and such, and referred to him as a troll. Why don't they use that same investigative journalism to go after some of these people that have been targeting the Duchess of Sussex? These single purpose accounts that do nothing but day after day throw negative assertions about Harry and Meghan all over the place, like they're throwing grenades at them or something. They do this every day. But then that would mean they would have to look inward, right? That means they would have to look inward and actually take responsibility for what they have been doing. But wait, I got more. You wait, there's more. Let me see. Uh-oh. Where am I going here? Oh, all right. So, of course, it's not straightforward. We are often told that online anonymity is essential to free speech, that without this, what is that? Is that without this cloak of invisibility, people who would not feel confident to blow the whistle on government corruption. Oh, God, give me a break. On government corruption, or stand up to ruthless rulers, right? Well, you know what? You can do that with just about anybody but the royal family. Remember, they are protected. They have a law that protects them from any persecution. That might very well be true, in part at least, yet there is no denying that in many societies, including ours, the use of false identities is being exploited for the purpose of bullying and harassment. The tabloids feed the trolls. And because we know that several of these tabloid journalists have burner accounts, we know that several of them have used burner accounts where they have interacted with the trolls. A lot of the things that they write, they get their ideas and are fueled by the trolls. And let me tell you something else that the trolls do. The trolls, the derangers, they screenshot things that I have said, slides that I have used, among other people. I've seen it myself. They have blocked my Twitter account, but someone else on Twitter told me, they said, Baron, this person is trying to destroy your channel. And there I use my burner account. I look at her account, and she would take slides that she felt was offensive, and she would actually tweet them to journalists so that they might discover this horrible person with this platform and go after me. Yeah, that's what they've been doing. And I tell you, 1,800 videos later, nothing have come of it. Royal Sussex has some 1,800 videos, and nothing has come of it. Anyway, it says, and our political, what did I leave off? Anonymity has become the fetid trench from which antisocial coward shoot their invective, that is, at public figures, uh, degrading public life for all of us. Oh my God. Does this person actually read this paper? Y'all know this is a Daily Mail article. It would be a good start if the billions of Silicon Valley, if the billionaires of Silicon Valley and our own political classes, okay, now you're talking, our own political classes would at least address the problem, acknowledge the potential catastrophic downside of allowing people to hide behind a mask. I'm not hiding, I'm front and center. Let's see. We may live in an era of 24/7 access to the inner lives of the famous. It's a world where it's normal to speak openly about mental struggles, for people to write memoirs on their emotional hardships, to post on social media about life trials and tribulations. You know what he forgot to mention, though? He forgot to mention that it's also normal for people who work for the royal family to get their marching orders from William and Kate and then go out and speak to people in the tabloid media and instruct them on ways to try to destroy Harry and Meghan, allegedly. Huh? Or has he missed the part about Camilla and Charles throwing Harry and his dim-witted brother under the bus so that they could rebuild and reclaim their images? And in some cases, they'd have to go back to childhood to find a time where they were ever innocent foes. Otherwise, they seem to be some of the worst humanity has to offer. Charles and Camilla. I said what I said. They're horrible people. Horrible. So if you're gonna say, okay, it's normal to speak openly about struggles and people write memoirs on their emotional hardships and so on, don't forget to the fact that it has been normalized that members of the royal family leak and brief against other members of the royal family, those who are of lower rank and unable to defend themselves, right? Why don't we talk about that? Because that's what's happened. William gets away with what he gets away with because he's not allowed to fail. Charles was able to do everything that he's gotten away with because he's not allowed to fail. And Camilla, no pun intended, was just along for the ride, so she could not fail. Kate, same thing, was not allowed to fail. Disappear, but not fail. I'm telling you, there's so much in this article, so much. It's utter hypocrisy. This is so hypocritical. In that context, when Kate did not comply with those behaviors and instead gracefully took time away from, did she take time away or was she pushed away? The world, let me see, where was that? Okay. Instead, gracefully took time away from the public spotlight to deal with a very serious illness and look after her young family. She became a target of the shocking stream of malevolence that drips hourly from the internet. Or was people just giving back to her what she's benefited from? there's no way I can prove that Kate has directly um, been in a situation where she was responsible for the vitriol directed at Meghan. But God knows she's the one who has benefited the most, right? So, where was this person when Kate was rising through the polls and seen as the alternative to that terrible Meghan Markle, right? The old Coke and Pepsi challenge. Where was all of this inward looking, all of this self reflection when Meghan had been victimized day after day after day? It was not a problem until it happened to Kate Middleton. That's when it became a problem. But when it was Meghan's problem, oh, who cares? She's someone's daughter. She's someone's wife, sister, aunt, friend, family, friends that are like family. But it did not matter because it was Meghan and she didn't matter. But now that it's Kate and people are asking questions, well, why was it okay for Meghan? What happened? Kate sat on the bench and said, I got cancer. That's what happened. Kate sat on the bench and cried cancer to put a stop to the comparisons. Because the last thing they wanted was for people to compare the brutal treatment of Meghan to what is supposed to be this terrible treatment of Kate Middleton. Why don't they just leave her alone? Well, why didn't you say that 3-4 years ago when it was happening to Meghan? If you ask me, they conditioned society to be so pessimistic and antagonistic. The tabloids have conditioned society to be just the kind of people that society has become. And now that it is the English Rose who is being sorted out, that is being verbally bashed in day after day, now all of a sudden, oh, somebody's got to do something. The truth is that we should all be deeply concerned about the way the toxic media, don't just say toxic, the way the toxic media, antisocial thrust of internet age clips away, chips that is, away at civilized values and the barbaric fad for anonymous, what is that, hectoring, whatever that is. If we fail to put a stop to this, we won't only be, it won't only be bad for the Welleses. See there? That's all they care about. No mention of Meghan. It will be bad for Britain itself. But what about the export? It's one of the greatest exports and the worst, most diabolical export from Britain has been racism and white supremacy. Britain has instilled racism and white supremacy in societies all over the world. And they have also instilled classism. They have actually, I wouldn't say that there was no class before they got there, but they were the ones who decided to pick and choose who would rule over the rest of these societies for the benefit of guess who? Britain. Tell me where I'm wrong about that. Tell me where I'm wrong about that. And just like the rest of the European powers, they decided what a map of Africa should look like, what a map of the Middle East should look like, what a map of the United States should look like. It actually started with guess who? Britain. The genocide in Canada, the genocide in Australia, the genocide in the United States. Where did it start? Britain. The most humane nation on the face of the earth. It is reported that Prince William is at his wits' ends over the hounding of his wife. Is he really? You mean the William who seemed to orchestrate parts of this hate campaign against Meghan? That William that I am alleging was one of the architects of this campaign against Meghan and Harry? You mean to tell me that he is at his wits' end, that people would dare do to his wife what they did to his mother? You know, those people that he's in the bed with, the Sun, the Daily Mail, and all the rest of those hooligans. It is reported that William is at his wits' end over the hounding of his wife. Isn't that extraordinary? As well, he might be, but he should remember that there's a groundswell of decent, normal people out there who are on their side. Now, wait a minute. But let me rewrite that part. But he should remember that there's a groundswell of decent people out there that are on Meghan and Harry's side. Or he might well, let me see, he, as well as he might be, but he should remember that he is the one that put Simon Case, Christian Jones, and who else? Oh, yeah, Jason Knopf. He's the one who hired them. And they were the ones, as far as I'm concerned, they are the ones that made life unbearable for the Sussexes. But they had help. There were other people in the institution. And wasn't it Simon Case? No, I'm sorry. Christian Jones, who was accused by Prince Harry of having leaked information about their departure that somehow wound up with someone that he said he didn't know. And that, of course, is Dan Wooten. According to the byline, we went over this. By the way, you guys, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe to Royal Sussex. You have no idea how helpful that is to the algorithm. Wait, was I through with that? Yeah, William is at his wits' end. Ain't that a kick in the rubber parts? William is at his wits' end. William. Messy, nasty William is at his wits' end. I wonder how he was feeling when he went over to Nottingham Cottage. I wonder what state he was in when he went over there and lunged across the room and knocked his brother to the floor. I wonder what his disposition was that day. And thus far, he has not sued his brother. He has not denied it. And the only thing that we have gotten is how disappointed he is with Harry. You jump on your brother, and then you allow the tabloids, or possibly instruct the tabloids, to tell people how despondent you are with your brother's behavior. Oh, let's see. MF, thank you so much for the PayPal. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. I appreciate that. And thank you very, very much. Okay. Now, let me see. Announcing Kate Middleton's cancer diagnosis should have been simple, but the palace let it get out of hand. Okay, now that is one truth. That is one truth. It should have been simple. Let me do this much, okay? I'll try to do it quick because I know I say this stuff again and again. On the 28th of December, okay, the last time we saw Kate was on Christmas. On the 28th of December, there's this motorcade that is yet to be explained by anybody officially. Then on the 17th of January, abdominal surgery. And on the same day, Charles is suffering from an enlarged prostate. Neither one of those are cancerous. Don't worry. And the fact that the two people that have been accused of being racist had actually announced that they are having surgery on the same day and that it's non-cancerous is strictly coincidental. There is nothing to see here, folks. Keep moving. Fine. Then the day that what was it, the Star, the Inquirer, the Globe, the day that they published their newspaper in the U.S., a U.S. tabloid, says that Kate has cancer. That is the actual day that Charles comes out and says he has cancer, right? Only for Kate to come back on the 22nd of March to say, you know what? With William by my side, where William was nowhere in sight, she sat there on the bench after these confusing images of her, maybe in the car with her mother, possibly in the back seat with her husband, but looking away, and then running out of the farmer's market like she had just got some numbers on a scratch off ticket. She was moving like somebody who just cashed in a scratch off and wanted to hurry up and get in her car before somebody tried to get her. Wasn't she moving? Smiling, happy, throwing her hair, looking like the peak of fitness. In a video that was paid for by the Sun, which the Sun does not handle paparazzi images of the royal family. So, to get around that, they give it to TMZ, who, of course, just like the Sun, is owned by Rupert Murdoch. And then the TMZ people, they started having second thoughts. That's not Kate Middleton. They even had a show called Where is Kate Middleton? And through sheer panic, Kate ends up on the bench looking like Renaissance Jesus on the bench. And then she says that she has cancer. No, she had abdominal surgery. And later on, they found out the cancer was present. And since that day, on March the 22nd, right to this very day, she is still being treated with preventative chemotherapy for a cancer which, just like King Charles, has yet to be identified. We know what Charles was in for the first time, but they won't tell us what kind of cancer. We know what actually, we don't know what Kate was in for the first time. And then, of course, they won't tell us that what type of cancer it is. Okay? Are we all caught up now? I mean, that was just part of it, but that'll do for now. So the same tabloids that have gone from she's searching for their first home and won't accept anywhere owned by the royals as she tightens her grip on the prince who tried to dump her will 2008 or 2008 see the triumph of Waity Katie? Now they went from showing her like some type of go-go dancer to, for God's sakes, leave Kate. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me get it right. For God's sakes, just leave Kate alone. Leave her alone. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Oh, you all are so cruel. Leave her alone. But you all are the ones that were accusing her and her mother and sister of being social climbers. You are the ones that reported that her Uncle Gary, was dealing in something that appeared like, oh, I don't know, baking soda, right? That he chastised his wife in public, that he urinated on the street. Y'all the ones that said that. You are the ones that thought that the Middletons were not fit to be a part of the royal family because of their party pieces business. Now all of a sudden, because Kate has kept her mouth shut, and it wasn't involuntary, she just ain't had much to say. But because Kate has kept her mouth shut all these years and has said nothing, done nothing, rarely ever works, right? Doesn't seem to have a care in the world. But since she has disappeared and your standard bearer, your anti Meghan, is nowhere to be found, now all of a sudden, everybody is so concerned that her well being is not being considered. But these are the same people that turned their gaze away from Kate, right? And their gaze all of a sudden has been fixed on Meghan, a woman who um, is well educated, self motivated, one hell of a public speaker, an entrepreneur, a humanitarian, right? A philanthropist, and now a royal in her own right. That is the one that you all deem unfit, right? That she's up to some diabolical scheme to topple the royal family. But if this is how the royal family operates, where they victimize anybody who dares marry into the family, where you play this sadistic game of cat and mouse with them, where you try to destroy their souls, then maybe it doesn't deserve to exist. Maybe it has outlived its usefulness. This is 2024. What is the point of it? Just so that they can raise another batch of very confused, selfish children. How Harry escaped that, I don't know. But William is probably the worst that humanity has to offer, royal or not. He is the worst that humanity has to offer. The only person who could possibly come close to him is his father. He's had more time to show us who he is. But William is going to be a nightmare of another kind. And there are people in the institution that are so nervous about it, they don't know what to do. They're hoping that somehow they can control him, but they're not sure. So they had to turn to a higher power just to see if he's going to be okay. They had to try to size him up. They had to find the devil whisperer. That's right. Camilla, the spawn of Satan herself. They had to send her to deal with Willie leaks. And so far, it seems very successful. She seems to carry him around in her hip pocket. It does seem that way, doesn't it? And so when Meghan was on Oprah telling her side of the story, after actually, let me see, from day one, when she started dating Harry, up until the Oprah Winfrey interview, we never knew anything about what Meghan was feeling. And all they wanted her to do was just keep quiet. If you keep quiet, actually, they didn't offer anything to keep quiet. What did they do? They just badgered and bullied her even more. And when they weren't badgering and bullying Meghan, they were going after Harry. They even targeted a child, not just one, but both. Archie, comparing him to a chimpanzee, nobody was canceled, nobody lost their job. And then Lilibet Diana, they have gone to war with a child over a name, not once, but twice. But twice. In order to go after Harry and Meghan, they have made part of the permanent record the idea that Lilibeth Diana's name, which, for a child, it almost seems like my birth somehow disrupted things. God forbid that she should ever even know about this. But the point is, she may find out about it. And who knows how she's going to feel as an adult, as a teenager, when she finds out that one of the most beloved figures on the planet for 70 years was devastated because her parents dared honor her by naming their child Lilibet Diana. I mean, that's what it adds up to. But they don't care that Lilibet Diana will grow up and possibly know all of the fuss about her name. That doesn't matter. As long as the Sussexes are punished for not staying here to be abused, that's all that matters. And that Kate is protected. We have to protect the English rose. Is she good at public speaking? Nope. Can she lead a discussion, even at a round table? Nope. What is she good for? Carrying a binder and smiling and waving, right? Does she have enough insight to create something? Doubtful. Her staff does it. There is nothing that indicates that she is the best qualified person for that position, except she says nothing and does nothing. That is her qualification. Now, if that's what it took for me to fit in, I'd rather chew broken glass. But someone else put it best when they described Kate. It's been a while, hasn't it? Someone put it best.
Reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned, mute woman.
Take note, Nicola. There it is. Right.
One of the reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned, mute woman.
Take note, Nicola. There it is. Right.
And trust and believe, Kate was satisfied to be just that person. She didn't have to try hard or anything. But then along comes Meghan, a self-made woman. And suddenly they tried to cast Kate as this corporate CEO. They put her in smart suits. They gave her some very complicated hairstyles and ponytails and side do's and stuff like that. In other words, they tried to make her over into Meghan. They were not embarrassed. It did not create any type of shame whatsoever that in order for Kate to seem like a credible person, they had to try to recreate her in the image of Meghan. I don't know about you all, but that had to be tough. That had to be tough. Although I don't know if Kate has enough character that would bother her, but that had to be tough. Who would want such a thing? When you could be running around in coat dresses, you could have skirts flying over your head every time you get off the plane or step out the car. All of the stuff that you were accustomed to. But instead, they had to try to make you into Meghan 2.0. That had to be very, very difficult. So it's as though the institution, if I'm correct, I don't know if I'm right, it could be something else completely, but it could not have helped. The institution tried to make her over in Meghan's image. Nobody is ever going to admit to that, of course, but that's exactly what it was. And I'm sorry, but to me, it just seems like for Kate, it was such a big joke. And that's what really bothers me is those very sarcastic grins and laughing and smiling and waving all the way into the papers, pretending to be something that she's not. And it proved to be too much for her. And so now the woman with 62 staff people, a fleet of automobiles, and according to William, two 24-hour Filipino nurses, his words, not mine, round the clock Filipino nurses, among other things. And I should feel bad for her, even though as an African American, I have watched that institution. I've watched the British tabloid media target other African Americans, not just members of the family, but any African American. Simone Biles, um, Saka, whatever her name is, all of those people, even Kamala Harris. What did they call Kamala Harris one day? They said she was a bully. Oh, there we go. The black woman bully, the angry black woman. And for all of that, I should feel terrible for how Kate is being treated. But yet, they make no mention of what they've done to Meghan. Make that make sense. But you know what? They didn't have to say anything because tens of thousands of people on social media, they've already said it. They don't have to say anything. Thousands of people, not even squatties, just thousands of people on social media said it for them. And when the sound was becoming too much, when those voices got so loud, what did they do? They put Kate on the bench so she can tell the world about her cancer scare, just to shut it down for now. But it seems like it's coming back. It's coming back. YM Droid says Kate could be the first royal mumble rapper. It's implied. It's implied. All you have to do is just add a breakbeat. Thank you so much for the super sticker, super chat. The good little girl has blown a gasket. Let me see. She is about to talk if they don't pay her right. Karma is that, and she is still making her rounds. Absolutely. Thank you, Sonia Johnson. Again, the way that Meghan was treated and is continually attacked by the tabloids. I was so surprised when, not that it did much good at all. It didn't do much good when, what's her name? Jenny Bonds, when she admitted that it was not wise to, I guess, criticize people about their treatment of Kate, whilst at the same time being completely negative in every which way they possibly can about Meghan day after. They were still doing it. They never stopped. They never stopped. I remember with the George Floyd, that hoghead Pierce Morgan, he had mumbled something about the way he's treated Meghan. And he seemed to have a really inward looking day. I don't remember the words exactly. I don't even remember, you know, I couldn't find that particular show if you paid me. I don't think I could find it. But I remember it was a conciliatory tone that he had that particular day. For a minute. For a minute. And then you know, it all kicked back into gear as soon as the all clear was given. He was back to the same old hoghead Pierce Morgan. Yep, he was the same person again. So it didn't matter. He just took a break for an afternoon, a morning, whatever it was, and then he was back to the usual old hoghead Pierce Morgan. It was as though nothing had changed. Oh, here it is right here. Ah, okay. Let me see if I can share this with you. I'm going to let you hear Jeannie Bond's words yourself. Let me see. How can I do that? Okay, I know how to do it. I will share that with you. Now, and then, of course, the good thing about her saying this is that every time she comes for Meghan and Harry, we can throw this back in her face. It's not going to change anything in the long run, but it's enough to just rock her back on her heels for a few minutes.
Whatever she does, and when there is so much criticism of Meghan, whatever she does, and whenever she opens her mouth, and I think we should be aware of that. You know, we're trying to say that we should lay off Catherine, that we should be kind towards Catherine after a small mistake. Well, we can't have dual standards and be so critical of everything Meghan does and then demand kindness for Catherine. There is so much criticism of Meghan, whatever she does, and whenever she opens her mouth, and I think we should be aware of that. You know, we're trying to say that we should lay off Catherine, that we should be kind towards Catherine after a small mistake. Well, we can't have dual standards and be so critical of everything Meghan does and then demand kindness for Catherine.
Okay. They need to say it louder and say it more often and mean it when they say it. Now, Dr. Shola said in response to that, she said, in Diana's view, Jeannie Bond should prove Princess Diana thought Camilla should be rewarded as a loyal, discreet, two-faced, cheating side chick and deserve recognition for making Diana miserable and a third wheel in her marriage to King Charles, the blatant, shameless lie. Now, that is what Dr. Shola said about Jeannie Bond when she tried to convince the world that Diana somehow approved of that relationship. Yeah, she tried to convince the world that Diana approved of that relationship. And if you've never heard that before, guess what? I'm going to share that with you too. It just gets better and better, you guys. And when I say better, I'm being sarcastic. It's awful. It's awful, the lies they get away with.
You don't have to watch it. Go to the beach, do something else. You have a choice. A lot of people are going to enjoy it. And I would just say about Camilla, that I sat with Diana in her drawing room and talked about Camilla. And Camilla, in Diana's view, had been loyal, discreet, and deserved some form of recognition. Well, she's going to get it on Saturday.
That is the lie. That is the lie that Jeannie Bond told before the coronation. They were on a conquest. They were out like the Great Crusade. All of the tabloid media was dispatched through the newspapers, television, radio, podcasts. It was all hands on deck to convince people that Charles and Camilla were destined for each other. And because it didn't seem as though the public was, falling for this nonsense, they had her go on television and tell that lie and a few other things that, I can think of off the top of my head, especially when they had Camilla's son do an interview where he says, there was no long game. What long game? There was my father and Charles. All of that was to try to convince the public to get happy and involved and excited about the coronation. That's all it was. In other words, be excited that the Church of England, what's left of it, is crowning two adulterers in the Church of England to be their majesties, the king and queen. Be excited about that. That was what they were trying to convince people. Forget about Diana. Forget about the pain and misery caused to Harry and his dim-witted brother. It is more important that we celebrate this moment for Charles and Camilla. That's what it is. That's what they were trying to convince us. And Jeannie Bond, who is no dum-dum, she's a highly intelligent woman, but yet she allows herself to be used like this so that she can pay her mortgage, or that her children, if she has any, has access to the right schools and the right careers and such. That's what it's about. It's not only about what the journalist receives, but it's a way up for the entire family. You play the game, you tell the lies, and you'll come up. Just prove that we can count on you. Go on television and lie. Diana said, what? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, I'm so glad that Charles and his concubine are going to sit on those thrones in the house of the Lord, and they're going to get their crowns, and hallelujah, hallelujah, high time. That was from yesterday, wasn't it? There we go. So what is so important for people to remember is that you have no idea what's going on for someone behind closed doors. It takes so much courage to admit that you need help. Meghan Markle, Princess Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. But yet they weaponize the English rose, or as we say here in America, they weaponize the white woman's tears, something that has gotten people deleted in this country. They weaponized her tears and created so much vitriol and hostility against Meghan that she's not even safe here, let alone over in the UK. You see, when they ask why Meghan won't come back, they won't remind people that they weaponized tears of the English rose, the innocent, sweet, polite mother of three. And of course, we all remember the party girl with the see-through dress, the thigh-high boots, stirrups, chains, whips, collars, whatever she had, studded leather vest, whatever else she wore. We have to forget about that and just look at her as this very pious individual who wouldn't hurt anyone, who only wants what's best for her children and what's best for Britain. As a matter of fact, she's so appealing, it's a wonder that no teenage girls looking for mentors or guidance. Isn't it amazing that you never see a crowd of young ladies trying to get into her orbit, to be near her, looking to her as a what do you call it, as a mentor or as an inspiration. She doesn't have that. If there's anything, she sits at a table with adults who just want to be in pictures with her, or she sits in a classroom with chairs that are too small for most adults, and she sits with those little kids and talk about God knows what. But there's no middle. Young women who are trying to start careers and families, they don't look to Kate Middleton. They should, but they don't. They look to Meghan, and they look to a lot of women, a lot of feminists, a lot of girls that believe in girls' power, women that are all for girl power, for female empowerment. Those are the ones they look to. You won't find that with Kate. They have not found a way to create the. Now, to be fair, when they came to the US, there were a few young girls with their mothers that were excited to see the royals, right? Just a handful. Well, you take what you can get. But if you remember the crowds that gathered to see Meghan when she went to those different places in the UK, these were girls that will be entering high school or entering university soon. And they were excited to see someone who was empowered and self motivated, someone whose values were so similar to their own. Not a doormat, not a voiceless, jointed doll. That's not what they were looking for. But yet, all the sympathy goes toward she who doesn't really stand for anything, and someone who likely orchestrated some of the vitriol against Meghan, especially by not telling people that this was untrue. Meghan made Kate cry. She watched Meghan being destroyed with a lie, but wouldn't tell the truth to save her. She sat back and said nothing. But this is the person that we should all feel sorry for. She who has benefited from the destruction of another person. I mean, I know governments do stuff like that. My own government, my government has done some terrible things so that we can have gasoline half the price of what people pay for in Britain, right? But I know it comes at a cost. Sometimes lives. At least I know where it comes from. It bothers me. I bet you it wouldn't bother Kate. Long as Kate get what she wants out of it, she's okay. She's okay. She's in the ruling class. She's in it, but not of it. But she's there. It doesn't matter. And then, of course, if you recognize that image, that was for the article in the New York Times when Meghan wrote, what was it, an op-ed piece about losing a child, the loss of an unborn child, because of all the stress and all the pressure and all the brutality that happened to her. The fear that she's unsafe in her own house, the fear that her husband is without protection of bodyguard for the first time in his life, royal protection, all of those things. Worried about her firstborn child. And one of the tabloids, I believe after this article, what was the response? Oh, Meghan has to learn the lesson of what it's like to be an older woman of childbearing age, something to that effect. They blame Meghan for it, that she waited too late. The fact that they were paying her family to, destroy her character, that had nothing to do with it. That her sister and brother that she barely knew, her father, who should be there to protect her, was trying to destroy her. That did not that didn't fit into the narrative at all. It's just that Meghan waited too long to try to have a second child. But once they had broken those shackles and they were free from that institution, isn't it incredible how beautiful and healthy Lilibet Diana has become in spite of everything that they had been through? Which makes you it begs the question, was there something wrong with Meghan? Was she too old? Or was it an institution that was trying to destroy her? It's like a vicious triangle, isn't it? You have Australia, Britain, US. Australia, Britain, US. That's the axis of evil. That is the sphere of influence for Rupert Murdoch. And of course, there's enough Americans and British that are comfortable with destroying women, trying to take their humanity and destroy them. There's plenty of people that are willing to do it. I mean, look at Fox News. Those are Americans that were recruited to work for Fox News. And Rupert Murdoch has managed to change the landscape of politics in America, just as he did in Britain. And we are the worse off for it. So when this person has this exercise of trying to sort out how the internet is making us so much more worse off, these anonymous people, why not ask that same question about the tabloid media, including the tabloid where you have written this article? Why don't you look inward instead of looking out? Because the Daily Mail has done more damage on a day-to-day basis than just about anything I could think of. Reportedly, the most widely read English language publication, shrinking, but still widely read and capable of so much damage. And every day, as an American, I look at them saying things like the lawless city of New York, the lawless city of Los Angeles, the lawless city of Houston, the lawless city of Chicago, the lawless city of Miami. Everything is bad, right? And then, of course, they go on this thing about the homeless population. One thing that they never accuse Americans of is being hungry, for obvious reasons. We're very well fed. Food is, expensive here, but you can still eat for a bargain if you know where to look. But in spite of all of that, they look outward from the UK at the US. Aren't you glad we don't have a president? Better we have a king or a queen. This monarchy will protect everyone from hunger. It will protect people from homelessness. It will protect people from violence. It's going to protect everyone. It's going to make sure that people have socialized medicine, right? Wrong. It hasn't been good at any of that stuff. It hasn't protected the people of Britain from the government. The government has been infringing on the rights of the British subjects more every day, especially when Boris Johnson was at the helm. M. Covington says, tell them like it is, Baron. Keep your foot on their necks. P.S. Hi, squatties. Love you all. Thank you, M. Covington. Thank you for the super chat. So, enters Victoria Newton. This is the editor of what is that? The London Times, the Times of London. Is that right? Is she the editor? Well, she's the one who signed off on the Jeremy Clarkson article. The one where he stayed up at night gnashing his teeth. She signed off on that. And just in case you're new, Let me explain it to you. Picture it. December, London, 2023. Camilla invites Jeremy Clarkson, Hoghead Pierce Morgan, Dame Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, and a few other people to a restaurant, I think in Soho or wherever, for a Christmas luncheon where they can all get boozed up and make fun of Americans, right? Especially Meghan. And so that night, Jeremy Clarkson, oh, is it the Sun? Thank you. Thank you, Helen. The Sun. And you know what? I should know that because I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but thank you for reminding me. So Jeremy Clarkson, he goes home, probably in a drunken stupor, allegedly, and he sits at his computer and he's writing this very nasty article about the Duchess of Sussex. And then he goes to sleep. He hits enter and goes to sleep. And of course, Victoria Newton, being the editor of The Sun, oh, you know what? There it is right there. Being the editor of The Sun, she approves it. She goes to sleep, right? Everybody's sleeping good. Boy, did they give Meghan the what for? Her and her dim-witted husband, Harry. Those upstarts, those such and such so-and-sos, right? But then slowly, this was very different. Slowly, the world had a chance to see exactly what Jeremy Clarkson said, and it got ugly. Ooh, it got ugly because it was so nasty and filthy. What kind of man would say something like that about a woman? Meghan, though, is a different story. I hate her, not like I hate Nicola Sturgeon or Rose West. I hate her on a cellular level. All night, I am unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while crowds chant shame, 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 and throw lumps of excrement at her. And that was just part of it. That was just part of it. Meghan is a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a mother, and of course, she has friends that are like family and friends that have become family. There's all kind of people in her life. A husband who's always afraid for her safety. But that didn't matter because we ignore the fact that she's a human being, this 120-pound woman, and we overlook someone like a psychopath, right? Is Rose West, isn't she like some kind of psychopath or something? We'll overlook that. We'll overlook a whole lot of people. And we will, I guess, cast Meghan as the worst thing since some dictator or something like that. Yeah, we'll cast her in that light, and it's okay. I mean, there's a lot of terrible people in the world, but it doesn't matter. Meghan's a woman. She's of African descent. Oh my God, and she's an American actress. She's an actress from America. Nobody cares about her. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. So I spoke to Kensington Palace that morning. I said, she's really upset and sad that she's caused all this trouble. Speaking, of course, about that edited photo, that Photoshop, that Frankenstein of a photo that Kate Middleton created. Kate was upset about all the trouble that photo caused. And Victoria Newton, who at a glance is what? A white woman, older, dark hair. She can look in the mirror and imagine herself being Kate Middleton. So I'm just going to go on a limb and say Kate is someone that she can identify with, right? I mean, I don't know how tall she is, but they may very much be the same physical type. And so, as a upper class provocateur and editor of a newspaper, of course she identifies with Kate Middleton, not that actress of mixed race heritage, that American actress. She deserves no humanity. No, Kate Middleton does. She's more like us. So yeah, I gotta step up. I gotta do something. Editor of The Sun, Victoria Newton says it's time to give the Princess of Wales a break after the unfair backlash over the Mother's Day photo. But it wasn't really just about that photo. It was about the ongoing lies. They lied to the public. They lied to the public, among other things. And then, of course, when they got the public laughing at her because of the lies and this whole slapstick rollout of Kate's illness, the fact that people were talking about Rose Hanbury and laughing about it, that just got to be too much. So she's trying to limit it to a photo, but we know what it was really about. It was about Rose. That was when it had gone too far. Rose Hanbury, right? That's really when it went too far. The other stuff was not as important as the Rose Hanbury thing. But I digress. Let me stay in character here. So, let me find that. Because I saved it. Oh, I know what I did with it. Bear with me for just a second. I am going to play it for you. I'm going to play that little radio spot. And trust me when I say it, it's a doozy. Some of you have heard it before. Some of you have not. But, okay. Oh, yes. Here we go.
The size of that rock.
Okay. This is Victoria Newton defending Kate. All of a sudden, she's triggered by the way Kate has been treated, but she has been mum and even probably participated in this wholesale attack, allegedly participated in this attack against Meghan.
I mean, I can't imagine she wears that ring most of the time at home, but I just thought that was really unfair and it felt a bit bullying, and that's why I thought we had to make a stand, and I'm glad it's had an impact.
It said people love to put someone on a pedestal and love it even more when they fall off it. Princess Kate so rarely put a foot wrong that when she was forced to confess to some perhaps misguided photo editing, there was a gleeful element to some analysis, and there was also the conspiracy theories that existed before, during and after the whole episode. She may have apologised, but the whispers and conspiracy theories continue. How will Kensington Palace put the lid back on? Well, one woman I know who has a great deal of experience in royal coverage and in how the palace thinks, the couple thinks, the PR operation works is Victoria Newton, who's editor of The Sun. She joins us now. Morning, Victoria.
Morning.
You think that Kate's had a hard time, she deserves a break?
I certainly do. A couple of days ago, I ran a front page saying lay off Kate, because it felt to me a bit like it was becoming bullying. This is a woman who's had a really, really serious operation, probably far more serious than anybody actually understands. She always said she would be out of the public life until Easter. She isn't head of state. It's a bit different to, say, King Charles, who I think we had more right to know more about his illnesses and what went wrong. But I think with Kate, she didn't deserve that. And what happened was these crazy online speculation, both here and in the US, went out of control. And it seemed that the public were really, really desperate to know what was wrong with her. But I think she had a right to be at home and recuperate. So that front page sent quite a message, because I'd noticed up until that point, the BBC were constantly leading with this. I think for 24 hours on their website, they were debating whether the trees had been altered in the picture for her Mother's Day one that she put out. So look, yes, she made a mistake in doing those alterations to the picture, but I spoke to Kensington Palace that morning and said, look, how is she? And they said she's really upset and sad that she's caused all this trouble. All that she was trying to do is to put out a lovely picture for Mother's Day of her kids that she thought the public would enjoy. And you know what it's like. You've got 3 kids trying to get them to, you've got 3 kids still, I think, haven't you? Trying to get them all to look the same way for a picture and smile is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So I can see that. And of course, once she realised she'd made a mistake, she apologised.
But it was literally the worst thing, because it doesn't matter. The actual editing doesn't seem to strike me as mattering very much. But in a world of conspiracy, and you know this, that I'm sure, as editor of The Sun, how many of people you know text you and say, what's really going on with Kate and William?
Oh,
what's the truth about it?
Off the scale.
And it does exist, doesn't it? This whole culture. And it's not necessarily just wackos in their basements. It's I include my wife in this. I know lots of people who just genuinely are obsessed with that story. And so the worst thing they could have done was screw up a picture. Because once people believe in conspiracies and something like that happens, it reinforces the conspiracy, whatever she then says.
Absolutely. That's why it was a terrible mistake that was made. Now, I think they made it innocently. I think William took the picture in good faith. She wanted it to look good and sent it over without realising that you couldn't really do that. So it was a mistake. Should Kensington Palace's press people have protected her from that? I mean, if I were them, of course they should, but if I were them and I got sent a picture from the future king, I would assume it was fine. So I can see how mistakes were made. I mean, there was another sort of wider point I wanted to make, really, is that I've met William quite a few times now, various events and things, and I know how deeply he feels about protecting that young family, and especially his wife and children. He had a difficult upbringing himself, with a family that was disjointed, and he's determined to have a really, really private life for his own children. He's really close to them. They always make sure they're home for bath time, bedtime. She cooks most of the meals. I mean, it's very different to the life he had growing up, and that's why he's so fiercely protective. And the nonsense that's been written that the marriage must be in trouble because she took her wedding rings off. I mean, you've seen the size of that rock. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine she wears that ring most of the time at home, but I just thought that was really unfair and it felt a bit bullying, and that's why I thought we had to make a stand, and I'm glad it's had an impact.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought, as was heard me say this before,
it felt like bullying and we had to make a stand. It felt like bullying and we had to make a stand. It felt like bullying and we had to make a stand, right? But people were asking a question that was uncomfortable. Well, what about Meghan? Did you make a stand with Meghan? Was it bullying when it was Meghan? They got exactly what they had coming. The laughing, the jokes, the doubts, the side eye, all of those things were well deserved. As I said, they allowed the bullying to go on unabated, unrestricted. They allowed Meghan to not just be thrown to the wolves, but fed to the wolves, right? Isn't that what Meghan said? She was being fed to the wolves. And they did nothing to stop it, because the rule is, long as it's not the principles, and they will say that with a straight face, as though that makes it okay. But the truth is, Charles and Camilla has their relationship with the tabloid media that they're in the bed with, according to Harry and Spare, that in order to build up their public image, that he and his dim-witted brother had to be sacrificed. And they didn't like the fact that he has made a permanent record of that by putting it in his book, right? Also, William, who took over $1 million, what was it, from Rupert Murdoch? Wasn't it Murdoch that gave him over $1 million? He settled with them. He didn't want his brother to have his day in court, but he decided to settle, said nothing to Harry, and likely told them, don't worry about Harry. He's not going to do anything. I'll make sure of it. I won't even mention it to him, allegedly. So by the time Harry hears that he's settled, well, anyway, suddenly there was nothing negative said about William and Kate anymore. It was all Harry and Meghan all the time. And so one of the reasons why they're so upset, and that the royal family will never say this publicly, they're not going to let it be known, but they always say that Harry and Meghan, they're always, what's the word they say, talking about their or ratting out their families or whatever. Well, the reason why Meghan's family became such a bother, they couldn't do the stuff they were doing in the American media, but they took all that money and all those favors from the British tabloid media. They literally subsidized the Markle family, right? All they had to do was turn against their own family member. And likewise, when it comes to the Windsors, same thing. They received a different kind of payment. They were able to build their characters up. Characters that were lackluster and wanting were suddenly, they were being praised for doing next to nothing. And all they had to do was sacrifice Harry and Meghan. And they did not care how much it hurt. They didn't care that it could have possibly been the end of them. Didn't matter, because I am of higher rank, and that is the way it is. It happened to other people in the family, and it's always going to be that way. And there's nothing you could do about it. It is what it is. So they left. They said, okay, we're out of here. And that just made things worse. So for 1 year, they couldn't stop plotting and scheming and leaking and briefing against Harry and Meghan. They go on Oprah Winfrey. And they continue to lie, plot, scheme, except for this time, they decided to create a new character for Meghan. Now she's a bully. That came out even before the interview, 2 days before the interview, just to make sure that whatever they said, it'll look like they're lying. That's what Trump does. Trump says terrible things about people. So when you tell the truth about him, people that support him will accuse you of lying. That's what the royal family did. The royal family did a Donald Trump. They did a preemptive strike. Before you could tell the truth about me, I'm going to lie about you. Of course, they did it with the tabloids and their, henchmen at the palace, but that's what they've done. And part of that infrastructure, Victoria Newton, she has a role to play. Let me explain. So this is Victoria Newton. She is the editor of The Sun. She gave the nod for the horrific piece written by Jeremy Clarkson to be published this morning. She appeared on BBC Laura Clark at when I say influential women enable misogyny, I ain't making it up. Meaning, of course, that Victoria Newton is influential, and she is an enabler of misogyny. She is a gatekeeper. She probably likes to think herself a bit of a feminist, but she's not really a feminist. She's not the kind of woman that uplifts and elevates all women. Instead, she helps to hide the numerous deficiencies of one particular woman, just so that she can help to gatekeep for all the men of the institution, meaning the royal family or the aristocracy. She's a gatekeeper for the aristocracy. Plain and simple. So Dr. Scholler says the Sun apology doesn't mention Meghan Markle by name, so the person it violently racialized and dehumanized doesn't receive front page apology for its Jeremy Clarkson column. He keeps column, and Victoria Newton keeps job as editor. This is institutional gaslighting on an epic level. It was a non-apology. And so, since that wasn't working, Jeremy Clarkson on Christmas Eve sends a non-apology to Prince Harry's email, not to Meghan's, which he could have easily gotten that if he needed it, but to Harry, making no mention of what he did to Meghan. And he did not say sorry to Meghan. It was more like he was given an acknowledgement to Harry. And how do we know that that email happened? It wasn't leaked by the Sussexes. It was leaked by Jeremy Clarkson. That's how we found out about it. That's how we found out about it. Otherwise, we wouldn't know anything about it. The last day that Prince Charles was Prince Charles, the Sun editor, Victoria Newton, well, you can see right there, it says, I was with Charles on his last working day as Prince of Wales. He hosted me with typical generosity. God only knows what that means. He hosted me with typical public funding generosity, with taxpayer subsidized generosity, shelter, probably room and board, whatever, all of that. This is one of the, 22, 30 homes that he has. He receives that huge, what is it, crown, whatever estate money from the government, or he gives it to them. They give it back to him with the sovereign grant, that little shell game that they play every year. And so what is so important on the phone? Well, I don't know if you can see it, but this is what it is. That's the picture on the phone. It's not Harry, certainly not Meghan, not their children. That's what it is. That's why she's smiling and laughing with the monarch, or the future monarch, the soon-to-be king. Instead of him being at his dying mother's bedside, Charles is in one of his many country homes, several of them. He's in one of his several country homes while Princess Anne is at her mother's side. And not only this, Charles also was setting up for an interview with NBC television. What was so important at that time when his mother was dying, I couldn't imagine. I mean, we all saw the photo of her with Liz Truss. Everybody could see that the Queen was on her way out. I had started working on an obituary. I was getting photos and stuff together because I'm like, well, any minute now. But Charles didn't see it. Charles had work to do. Mummy will just have to wait. He was with Victoria Newton and one of those Bush girls for NBC. That's what he was doing in the less than 24 hours before his mother died. As bad as she was looking, you would think that he would be there at the house at least. And then when he goes to her side, what does he do? He goes out foraging for mushrooms, and then they have to come out and announce to him, Your Majesty, your mama dead. Your Majesty. He went from Your Royal Highness to Your Majesty, Your Royal Majesty. That means he's king. And I'm sure the person who told him dropped to their knees in deference. I'm not making it up. So it was a missed opportunity. This was the day that Meghan asked Kate, you got some lip gloss? You know, it's something that girlfriends do. They squeeze a little bit on their pinky, rub it on their lips. You know, you don't actually take it and use it on your own face, but it's kind of a way for women to bond before they are going out publicly, and or before you go into a nightclub, or before you go on a double date. It's kind of sweet. It's a way to bond. It's very, girl friendly, if you will. But Kate was offended that she would even dare to ask such a question. We're not familiar with each other like that. And it's sad because Harry dreamt of the day that he can be equal with his brother on these public engagements. Not equal in rank, but just, you and your wife, me and my wife, and we're going to do some great things for the Queen and for country. That's what Harry was thinking. And he probably told Meghan all of these wonderful things about how he got along with Kate. And no, I've never been over to the house before, but as soon as they get it all fixed up the way they want it, then they'll invite me over. It's very sad. So Meghan comes in there with her very positive attitude, happy-go-lucky. We're all in this together, teamwork. I can't wait to get out there and get my feet on the ground and do some things with the what do you call it? The Commonwealth. Oh, I can't wait. But it wasn't meant to be, because between Kate and William and the courtiers and all the other co-conspirators, they were never going to allow that to happen, ever. They had already started plotting before the wedding. That was the whole Thomas Markle thing, was a plot to prevent the wedding from happening. The way they planned to do that was to get Meghan out of the country, send her to Mexico to be with her father. And the little plan failed because Meghan wasn't budging. She knows her father is full of it. And she knew when she spoke to him that he was lying about, not being able to come right now. And she even told Harry he's lying. And poor Harry, he wanted to believe the best of Thomas Markle. But, what's so sad is that they both know how their own families are. And the good thing is that they didn't have to be embarrassed because, on both sides, there's a lot of trashy people. So there was nothing to be embarrassed about. They could just, endure these indignities together and move on. And that's what they've done. They endured and they moved on. But it was a wasted opportunity. Right now, when Kate needs a friend the most, Meghan is not there and cannot be there because, well, she ran her away. Kate did that. Kate, her mother, the courtiers, they lured Kate into a false sense of superiority as though nothing could touch her. We have not seen Kate since Christmas Day. That's how untouchable she is. Anyway, I am going to move on from that topic. This is a photo that was submitted by the President of the United States and the First Lady. From his office, they submitted this photo. There is, of course, Barack and Michelle Obama, Marion Robinson, right? And Jill Biden. And I believe that is one of Obama's sisters, maybe. I think so. But anyway, nice little family photo at the White House. I think that is the diplomatic room or whatever, map room, one of those rooms. But thank goodness for Jacqueline Kennedy for curating, or actually bringing the first curator into the White House back in the 1960s. Someone who could actually turn it more like a museum for the people rather than a place filled with Sears catalog furniture, which is what it was. But yeah, I love this photo. So the president said, We knew Miss Marian Robinson as a devoted mother and grandmother with a fierce and unconditional love for her family. With the blessings of friendship we felt and love ourselves, um, with every quiet smile and warm embrace she shared with us, she believed, like we do, that family is the beginning, middle, and end. She moved into the White House to be there for her family when they needed her the most. And in so doing, she served her country right alongside them. She served her country right alongside them. Her family is a reminder that we are a great nation because we are a good people. The entire Biden family sends its deepest love to Michelle, Craig, Barack, Kelly, and their 6 irrepressible grandchildren, whom she helped to raise and so loved, and in whom her kind and gentle spirit lives on. May she rest in peace with her beloved Frazier. May God bless Miss Marian Robinson. Amen. Now that was beautiful. Let me see here. And just got this photo before I went on. Love, 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 love that photo. Love that photo. What a blessing to see your child and your grandchildren, along with your son-in-law, in the White House, in the most famous address in these United States. What a blessing. And what a big, fat, sloppy mess. What a sloppy mess. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse. Lord have mercy. I don't know why when I looked at that picture, all I could think of was Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. Remember when she told that guy, now that you see me in my petticoat, you have to marry me? Well, that's all I could think of was Granny. Yep. I was looking for her jug of rheumatism medicine, I was. And then I kept looking at her. I said, wait a minute. This kind of reminds me of those petticoats that they used to sell at the Sears Roebucks. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of them petticoats from Sears Roebucks and Company. As a matter of fact, it almost looks like she bought that when Mr. Roebucks was still a partner at the company. Yep, that is the Queen Consort. That is the Queen Consort. I remember that article, Move Over, Harry and Meghan. Charles and Camilla are taking your place. And of course, Camilla, the secret weapon. Well, with bloomers, or I guess that's a dress. With a dress like that, surely you can hide a lot of weapons. Look at that. I don't know if she's going to dance a can-can or if she's going to the opening of a gallery or what's going on, but that is a sloppy mess. Whatever the designer had intended, I'm sure that that's not it. And then it gets worse because the more you look at it, the more you see. I was like, dust ruffles? Kind of looks like those dust ruffles, doesn't it? Like a bed skirt. Yeah. It looks like she's wearing a bed skirt. Poor Camilla, she just goes from bad to worse. She goes from bad to worse. The more she tries to carry out engagements, almost pretending as though she's a couture model, the more my eyes feel like they have been damaged beyond repair. Every time I'm just like, my eyes, my eyes. Look out. Bootlicker ahead. David Beckham is made, I'm sorry, excited David Beckman is made an ambassador for King Charles Foundation after they bonded over the love of beekeeping, sparking speculation he could be a step closer to that coveted knighthood. So I'm pretty sure before he met with the king that they one of the servants brought in a platter with that big lid on top of it, that big dome on a serving tray, a couple of boots. And of course they said, all right, bro, you know what to do, start licking them boots. I'm pretty sure they brought him some boots on the serving tray, because that's the only way that he is going to get that knighthood, is he got to do some powerful boot licking. David Beckham used to stand for Queen's speech as a boy. Sure, he did. In the tiny living room of his childhood home in East London. Now he stands and chuckles with her son, King Charles, sitting in the tiny living room of his childhood home in Leytonstone, East London. Few occasions would bring a young David Beckham to his feet beyond a goal being scored on TV. Oh, God. So anyway, we're supposed to believe that as a young child, David Beckham rose to his feet at the opening of Parliament. All children did that, especially if they didn't have to. And then on to Andrew. Andrew won't move out, much to Brother Charles' frustration, which means that William can't move in. So who will end up living in Harry and Meghan's Frogmore Cottage? I love the way they didn't make this about Harry and Meghan, don't you? I love how they did not make this about Harry and Meghan. And there's a picture of on the right side there. That's a very clever photographer captured the image of him behind bars, but actually he's walking up some steps at the St. George Chapel. Perfect timing, I would say. And over there, Kate Mansley, exclusive king, wants the Duke of York out of Royal Lodge, his 30-room mansion, but Prince Andrew refuses to budge. Now the king threatens to cut off the funding he gives his brother. Read my investigation into the siege of Royal Lodge. Y'all know why they doing this, don't you? Y'all know why they doing this. Because if the elections are coming up, right? How Britain became gripped by the worst homelessness crisis in the developing world. Well, if you look at that chart, the UK seems to have twice as much homelessness as several other countries. As a matter of fact, I can't believe that their rate of homelessness per 10,000 seems to be double that of the United States. Britain has the highest rate of homelessness in the developed world. Rate of homelessness per 10,000 people. This is for 2023. So for every 10,000 people, it appears to be like 51 homeless people compared to Belgium, which is 30 out of 10,000. And well, the US is about 19, right? Poland, Norway, Finland is the best, is the lowest rate of homelessness. Wow. And see, the way the tabloids report things, you would believe that it's the US that has the worst problem. Now, of course, if you notice, the bars in temporary accommodations is the bulk of just about everyone. And sleeping on the streets, well, in the US, for every 10,000 people, it seems to be 7 to 8 people on the street. In the UK, they claim that there's not a lot of people on the street. I find that statistic hard to believe, but there are a lot of encampments all over the U.S., and I could imagine in a lot of these other countries too, but that is the part where it's kind of hard to count those homeless. But either way, either way, um, if you are having housing insecurity, if you are sleeping in a shed or on a couch or whatever, wherever you're sleeping, if you're sleeping rough, as it were, it's not a good thing. There shouldn't be this much homelessness in any of these developed countries. It should not exist. Okay, so because it's an election year, they are using Andrew, I believe, they're using Andrew as a way to deflect from the wealth and privilege of the royal family. It actually makes okay, makes my urine boil that this person is out and about enjoying life. Anyway, this person, Benny James, you might remember him from a couple of years ago, but he has definitely stood up for Harry and Meghan on several occasions. And he gives a lot of social commentaries about things. And anyway, he's one of the many people that are bothered by this lifestyle that Andrew has. All I can say is just hold on, Andrew. It's going to blow over after the elections. And then over here on the right, you can remember yet again the toxic British media are targeting Meghan Markle. You see that? Yeah. Let me see. And Prince Harry, for no reason whatsoever, they can't even spell Meghan's name right, let alone write a story. Ha ha. What is it? What is this so-called expert talking about anyway? Meghan and Harry are already more popular than other members of the royal family. Why would they need to tone down? Just living a normal life. So, of course, this is that article in the Star, that the Daily Star rather, claiming that the Sussexes, well, of course, it was in other tabloids too. It's a way to defend Kate and William from the downward spiral of their public persona. Like it or not, Kate was the best thing, was the most popular member of the royal family over there. She was about the most popular in terms of the approval of the royalists and the monarchists. When it comes to overall popularity, I don't care if you don't like Harry or Meghan, they are still the most popular royals anywhere. Out of all the royal households in the world, there's nobody more popular, more well known, more talked about, more searched, Googled, more emulated than Harry and Meghan. That's just a fact. So that is what Benny James has said. Very interesting. Now, to continue with that Manzi person, the king wants the Duke of York out of Royal Lodge, his 30-room mansion, but Prince Andrew refused. Oh, did that already. I was told it can't be done tidily or untidily with grace or dignity or forced upon him. A source says the king's kindness is not without limit. There is a sense of exasperation. You mean to tell me taking away that house from Andrew is somehow more devastating than taking the royal protection away from your son, his wife, and little Prince Archie? Do you mean to tell me that Charles is more concerned about the optics of taking a 30-room mansion away from a man who has brought shame and humiliation to his dying mother? They're more concerned about how that looks. You know, the one who his mother paid out what £12 million to somebody he never met for something he didn't do? You mean to tell me they're more worried about how that looks? Really? Wow. That's interesting. A source says the king, I'm sorry. During my investigation, I saw the lease which Andrew holds. Wow, how did that happen? She saw the lease which Andrew holds. Interesting. However, I also found that the king gives Andrew well in excess of £4 million a year to live there, including an estimated £3 million security bill, and he no longer thinks it's an appropriate use of his private funds. Okay. A friend of the king told me the only question now is when Andrew will realize that he has become a prisoner of his own pride. If he hasn't figured that out by now, will it ever strike him? That man is living high on the hog. He's getting old, fat. He's out horse riding. He has a Bentley. A Bentley. I don't know how anything hurts him. The king is proposing to continue supporting both Andrew and his former wife, Sarah Ferguson. You mean to tell me that Charles is also supporting Sarah Ferguson, with whom the Duke lives at Royal Lodge from his own pocket, but at the more modest Frogmore Cottage, the former home of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now, see, they really want that optic to just push more negative images upon the Sussexes. In other words, when people are bad, this is where they end up, in another mansion. So Christine, Froba says, with such wealth, power, and such an enormous real estate portfolio, it seems unnecessary to evict a settled brother over the age of 60. However, the property is ridiculously large and costly for a single man. This would be a stressor for any family. It's certainly a point of contention, as I found over the course of my long investigation. Girl, you ain't investigating nothing. Somebody gave you that lease. You looked it up and down. What investigation? What investigation? Let's say Camilla, right? Let's say Camilla. Allegedly Camilla. Let's just throw her name in there. Hello? Is this the Daily Mail? Senior Royal here. Hello. Yes, that big bloated rotten booby refuses to leave the house. He won't leave. He continues to dwell at Royal Lodge. I could put my son in that house. Can you hear me? Hello? Senior Royal here. Oh, yes. I thought you hung up. You were laughing? Why? What is so funny? Never mind that. I could put my own son in that house. After all, he's a very prominent food critic. I should know. I got him the job. So let's say someone of Camilla's stature, not necessarily Camilla, but let's say someone of Camilla's stature gave Kate Manzi a copy of the lease, because remember, somehow she got a copy of it because she's such a crackpot investigator. Let's say someone I don't know, possibly Camilla, but not necessarily, told her, Charles has given him £7 million a year or £4 million a year, three of which, whatever, and his security cost another £3 million to the Crown estate. Oh no, I'm sorry. Charles is paying for that out of pocket. Charles is paying for his brother, allegedly paying for his brother's security out of pocket. So the very secure Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate gets round the clock protection. He's also given his brother £4 million a year to run the household for him and his ex-wife, right? But Harry was stripped of his royal protection, and it cannot be paid for by him. It will not be paid by his father. So you know what that means? Time to write another book. Time to write another book. I want to see the other 400 pages. So right there, world exclusive from the paper that brought you that word, Frogsit. The king chucks Harry and Meghan out of Frogmore and offers it to Andrew. Now that was, 2 years ago? And he's still there. Wow. Maybe it's just the way he said it, right? Maybe he should have been firmer. Well, who knows what kind of deal Charles made with his mother, but whatever the deal is firmly in place. And then, of course, the winners and losers in the great royal property merry-go-round, Royal Lodge, Windsor, right? Prince Andrew trading down to Frogmore, Harry and Meghan and UK, Harry and Meghan's UK boathold or whatever. So it was reported at that time that they could have an apartment in Buckingham Palace. However, William and Kate would be trading up, leaving Adelaide Cottage and going over to the the Royal Lodge, and that Eugenie could go to Adelaide Cottage. The funny thing about it is, it was reported a long time ago that Harry and Meghan were hoping to have Adelaide Cottage, but instead they were told to go to Frogmore because William and Kate are going to take Adelaide Cottage. Why? Because they know you want it. That's why. That's it. And so there he is, that sloppy, nasty, creepy weirdo lurking around like the ghost of Royal Lodge, eating snacks and talking about, how he didn't know this person, Pizza Express, all that stuff. He just looked guilty. He looked guilty. I would love to stand outside of the gates of the Windsor estate just so I could see this. I would probably have one of those big flashlights just so that I could just so I could see that. That would be worth the entire trip to the UK, just so that I can stand outside the Windsor estate and take a picture of that. Yeah, that's that. I wonder if I can get to the Pizza Express in time. That's what that look is. Shame on them. Shame on them. Ain't that something? Prince Andrew is protected at a cost of £7 million a year, and Harry and Meghan are the ones that are being treated like criminals. Unbelievable. They are the ones that are being treated as though they are criminals. Richard Palmer says Prince William is unlikely to be saying too much about his crusade to end homelessness during the UK's general election campaign. One of the pitfalls of a campaigning style of monarchy, even though his intervention is not party political. Say that 3 times twice fast. In the meantime, some analysis I missed. Well, William is all talk anyway. He's all talk and never really does anything. So it should be easy for him to not say something, because whether he says something or nothing, nothing gets done anyway. Nothing gets done anyway. So what difference does it make if he opens his big trap or keep it shut? It's not like it changes anything. He likes to announce that he's going to end homelessness. He's going to feed the hungry. He's going to walk on water. He's going to bring peace to the Middle East. He's going to solve the environmental crisis. He's going to stop too many Black people from being born in Africa, all that kind of stuff that he be talking about. Stubborn King Charles refuses to ditch toxic Prince Andrew despite Epstein updates. So that's an old clip right there. But as you can see, every so often, Charles pretends like he's going to rein in his brother or he's going to punish his brother. Nothing ever happens, okay? Nothing is going to happen. Instead of sitting up there begging him to leave, what you should do is evict him. Nobody's going to see it on the Windsor estate. How could they see that from the road? Kick him out, move all of his stuff over. Actually, when he leaves, just move all of his stuff over to Frogmore. It's not that difficult. Move all of his stuff to Frogmore. Look for all of those little hidden passages and all of those, hard drives that he's hiding and stuff like that, and just move his stuff over to Frogmore. It ain't that difficult. I don't know why they tripping. Like I say, it's an election year. The only uniform Andrew should be allowed to wear. Hear, hear. You've brought great shame on this family. So there's the Queen and Charles in there, ready for crisis talks, waiting for Harry to come in there. And what is Andrew doing? Lurking around the hallway in his underwear, eating Pizza Express and making faces and bristling at Harry. That sounds about right. Thank you. Talking loud and saying nothing. Thank you, Jeanette. Benny James says, I want to fight Dan Wooten in a boxing ring. It's about time he gets a tasting of his own medicine. Well, you probably remember him from that, right? Ben shouts Wooten. Benny James wants charity boxing match with Dan Wooten over Meg bullying. Well, for him, it might be a boxing match, but for Dan Wooten, I'm afraid, I'm afraid he might become a little bit too excited, if you know what I mean, right? He might become a little bit too excited. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe that's not a good idea. Might have to turn the water hose on Dan Wooten. Yeah. I don't know. Something tells me that's not a good idea. It is not a good idea. That's the last person you should get physical with. Now, I'm almost done, you guys. Let's see. I've never seen this before, but apparently this is, they have some artist houses in South Africa, and I wish I could have found some more photos to share with you, but isn't that beautiful? It kind of reminds me of the Southwest of the United States, with some of the tribal aesthetics from the Native Americans is so similar to that, isn't it? Anyway, it's beautiful. So I'm going to see if I can find some more of those to share with you, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And speaking of absolutely gorgeous, I found this today, a beautiful painted image of Princess Diana. How beautiful. I don't know if that's the one that was gifted to Harry or not. Is it? I don't know. I added the frame myself, so I don't know. Let me see. I'll see if I can find it so I can compare. No, that's not it. The one he got in in Nigeria was a picture of himself being held by his mother. So that is not it. This is a different painting. But anyway, I've never seen it before. Huh. How about that? I should have done a Google search. Maybe I can figure out where it came from. I'm going to do that right now. See if I can see where this comes from. Oh, there's a much larger painting. How about that one? Oh, it's a much larger one. I'll share it with you tomorrow. Although I kind of like it cropped like that, but there's a larger image. Wowza. Never seen that one before. That's beautiful. Huh. Love it. Okay, I will share it with you tomorrow. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, today would be, or yesterday, would be the 98th birthday of Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, had she survived, would be 98 years old today. This is one of my favorite images of Marilyn Monroe talking to that sailor. I believe that this was at the airport. And if I'm correct, it was at the Midway Airport in Chicago. But yeah, love that image right there. And this is probably my favorite Marilyn Monroe because it has Marilyn stripped away of all the lashes, all of that theatrical makeup. That is, what was her birth name? Oh gosh, I forgot her name. But that is Marilyn Monroe without all the makeup and everything. Looking just like somebody's neighbor, not a Hollywood starlet. What was her birth name, you guys? Norma Jean, right? Norma Jean Baker? Was it Norma Jean Baker? I think it was Norma Jean Baker. Anyway, I love that photo. What's so interesting is that she was such an ordinary person, you know? Behind all of that, she was such an ordinary person, very insecure. And this is the last for today. If you're a prosecutor and you're, given the task of prosecuting a former American president, there's ways that you can protect yourself. You can insulate yourself from their vitriol. You just go get a folding chair. That's it. You just go get a folding chair. And that will keep you safe. All right, you guys, it has been fun. I had a good time as per usual. Thank you, moderators, for hanging out all this time. And of course, when you see our queens, it's time to go. You know what I mean. And yeah, that's it. That is it. Let's go back to where we started. There we go. Wow, almost 3 hours. Didn't mean for that to happen. It's all a blur to me. I don't even remember what I talked about. But as I promised, I'm going to do an investigation and I'm going to get to the bottom of all of this trolling of the Princess of Wales. I'll make a report and I'll get back to you. Okay. Love you guys. I will see you all next time. And our last word of the day is, where's Kate Middleton? Okay. That was very timely. Let me see. All right. Cue the Ginger Avenger. See you tomorrow.